talking about the Harbaugh rumors that seem to be kind of floating around now via Twitter. And I saw one and had a response. I just, to me, and here's my stance on it, and then I'll kick it to you, Dre. I I don't want to call out the person, and actually, I don't remember who it was that posted it. Actually, I might,
Bruce
but
Feldman.
nonetheless, I think it was. But
Sorry, I was supposed to say that.
my essentially my comment was I read the article, so I didn't just read the headline and make a comment. I read the article, and it basically said that there's a source that says he might be interested in going to the NFL, and a source had also supposedly from Michigan that he could have interest in the NFL. And the thing that I don't like about it is you are essentially saying nothing, because if you say he could have interest in it, then what you're also saying is he could also not have interest in it. And I'm like, we're truly in the era of clickbait, because Jim Harbaugh gets clicks. Like, he is he's probably top 3 when it comes to just kind of media attention. Like, he gets the clicks. Michigan, obviously, we know what that brand stands for, the Block M, and it annoyed me. And maybe I'm totally wrong, and maybe he goes to Vegas and coaches Derek Carr and the Raiders. But to me, it just I was a little frustrated by it, just because it didn't seem to be any real substance to it. Because if he ends up staying, what negative ramification is there for whatever reporter wrote the story? Nothing. It's nothing at all. It's just, I got traffic to our website or whatever, my Twitter account, or whatever the case may be. And it's just, you're not having to reveal any sources, which that's a separate thing. I understand that with journalism, but I just didn't love it. And I thought it was an article essentially about nothing. So that was my take on it, to be quite frank. But that's it. So, Dre, what say you about it?
It's just this what comes. This is typical for this time of the season. This time of the season. Harbaugh is always rumored to NFL. At one point, it was a coach job to team up with Andrew Luck again before he retired. Right? Then you got the Chicago Bears. Even before Matt Nagy, he got hired the first time. Then Matt Nagy, it's just like this is typical. I'm not going to say that he doesn't have any legitimate interest in his heart or mind to one day return to NFL, because I think, quite frankly, based on how things ended in San Francisco, getting so close to winning a championship, I think that's, every coach is an egomaniac on some level. Like, I do think especially losing to his brother, I do think that he's like, man, I would love to get that Super Bowl. However, from a total package standpoint, he's never going to have a better job than what he has now. For the most part, he is above reproach, right? He's, for the most part, forget what the fan base thinks, right? Because before this season, a lot of fan base soured on him. But internally, he was never really going to get fired, right? Like, that was never going to happen. He has way too much respect from the university, from the boosters, right? It's just, that was never going to happen. And so, look, he's comfortable here. I believe his family is comfortable here. He just had a really good season. And he knows that he doesn't typically last anywhere else very long, because he burns bridges, and he's just not for everyone long term. This is the one place that he can last a decent amount of time. So it's like, I don't know. It'll have to be a can't miss opportunity, and I just don't think the Las Vegas Raiders are that kind of opportunity. I don't think they are Jim Harbaugh away from being a Super Bowl contender. I think they're a good team. Right? I think it'll have to be like a match made in heaven for him to leave.
Well, I would say, sorry, Mark, before you go, I would say there's not going to be a can't miss opportunity, because if there was, the head coach wouldn't be getting fired.
Right.
So there almost isn't one, right? Like, even Chicago, you could say, yeah, Justin Fields, a really good young quarterback, and I think most people think he's going to be at least pretty good. But then you got Allen Robinson, who knows what's happening there. So you're talking about your number one receiver may not want to be there anymore. Khalil Mack isn't playing the way that he did when he first got
They'll
there.
probably get traded, dude. That's not. He's
I
not.
mean,
Like,
you know what I mean? Like the perfect opportunity, like that San Francisco opportunity was extremely rare. It
yes.
just Mike Singletary, as much as I like him as a player and even as a coach, he just didn't do a great job there. And that was a
Right.
very talented roster. And Jim Harbaugh took that and ran with it and did a great job. But I mean, that doesn't happen. Like outside of Sean McVay getting fired today, there's just not or Andy Reid, there's not a ideal spot where you're like, oh my God, this is a perfect opportunity. I mean, Jacksonville, that's not a perfect
Oh,
opportunity, right? Like, but the jobs that are open, yeah, there's some that are better than others, but I wouldn't say there's any home run where you're running to get down there.
and to be honest with you, you know what? And I'll say this too, and this I might catch some. Actually, I probably will catch flack for saying this. Okay, guys, please listen to me. Okay, I think Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. Right? I don't believe he's a great coach. If he did leave, I'm not. I wouldn't be crying and in a panic. Right? Everything is over and stuff like that. So, Desmond, Mark, if you ever ask me, hey, if Jim Harbaugh leaves, would you be devastated? The answer is no. I wouldn't be devastated. Do I want him to leave necessarily at this point? No. I mean, it's hard. How can I say that after this past season? I would be lying. But if he left, I'm like, all right. Like it's at this point, he'll never have the cachet, even for the league NFL perspective. Like, he'll never have the cachet he had when he first arrived in Michigan. Right? When he first arrived to Michigan in 2014 or early 15, he was a top 3 coach in the game you can't miss. Besides, unless you had Nick Saban or Urban Meyer, you would have loved to have Jim Harbaugh. Everywhere else in the country. Everywhere else. Right? Even after this past season, he's not back to that level. And he'll have to go on some historical run to get back to that kind of cachet. Right? So, look, whatever.
Well, I was going to ask you, Dre, when you said he's a good coach, not a great coach, and I'm not going to argue with that. I think that's fair. But define good and great. So out of the coaches in college football, who would you rank above him? And, everybody else is obviously below him. Where do you think he ranks? Is he a top 5 coach, 10 coach?
I'll say he's at the very least top 15. Top 15. I'll put him somewhere between 10 and 15.
Okay.
Somewhere 10 and 15. And I'm trying to not, and to be honest with you, I'm trying to not get too emotionally swayed by this season. I'm trying to weigh the entirety of the 7 years he's been here, right? Because it's so easy to do that as fans. Like, how can you dare say that? We just beat Ohio State, won the Big Ten in the playoff. Jimmy, calm down. I'm just trying to, I'm thinking about.
So how about this? I've got 2 head coaches in mind, and I would like to know whether you rank Jim Harbaugh higher or lower than that coach.
Okay.
First, let's go Mel Tucker. Do you put Jim Harbaugh over him or under him?
You little, I can't say on the stream. Oh my God. Why would
That's
you do
a
that?
pretty simple question.
No, I can't. I, out of fairness, I can't put Mel Tucker above Jimmy. He has to prove a lot more. But I do think he's legitimate. Not state fans. Some Michigan fans want to dismiss him. I think he's a legit coach.
Okay. What about Lincoln Riley? That's my second one.
Oh no, Lincoln's higher than Harbaugh. I'm sorry.
Based on what?
I just think he runs a better program. Way more exciting program. He's been to the playoffs twice? I want to say definitely once. Been there twice. He's had multiple Heisman Trophy winners. Yeah, I
3
think,
times. I'm sorry, because he went with Baker, Kyler, and Jalen. If I'm not mistaken.
So, yeah. No, he didn't go with Jalen. But
yeah, wasn't that when LSU
he
hung
went
like 50 on him in the
17 with Baker against Georgia, 18 with
Kyler against Bama.
And then 19 against LSU with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and they got like
19,
50
18,
hung
19.
on him in the first 47 or something in the first half.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to see where you put.
D Brown didn't like me like what I put Harbaugh. Look, man, like fine, no, he's not in my top 5 of coaches in the game. Okay, D Brown, like because I'm trying not to get emotional. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of his. Like I just don't. I don't have anything personal against Harbaugh. He's just a weird guy to me. Like he's a weird guy. I don't understand his any press conference he gives. I don't like. I just don't. He's just not for me. It's not personal, right?
One thing I will give him credit for was this year was very different. A lot of the goofiness that he has had in the past, I think he is moved past that. So, well, this year he moved past that, and I mean, I'll give him credit for that because I do agree with you before, Dre. I'm like, man, this kind of for a coach who coaches at a very high level. His demeanor, especially at press conferences, was different than the other coaches, and I'll put it that way. Not that his is right or wrong, but it's just different than other guys in the
Amazon show. What was it? What was it called?
A long time ago.
That was 2017.
No, because
that was a 17 season. Because it was
right.
after Wilton Spade. It was just don't do that. It was 4 years ago, and he's in front of the team talking about wanting ice cream as a kid. Like I don't, I just don't understand the guy, and I just personally, I think he's a good coach. Okay, D Brown, everyone, I think he's a good coach. Maybe really good. Fine, I don't want to split hairs. Okay, he's a good coach. Most programs around the country will want to have him. Okay, most. All right, I'm just saying, I wish I had Lincoln Riley over Jim Harbaugh. I just want someone more like that, someone younger, more excitement. I just like that kind of stuff, right? Like I just don't like Jimmy's persona. I don't.
So you wouldn't take Nick Saban?
Oh, of course I'll take Nick Saban, but Nick Saban wins. Yeah, he's not younger, but he has more. That's an anomaly in terms of cachet that I just couldn't turn down. Okay. Yeah, I may be accepting the old man to run my team, but he's going to get all the right assistance and do whatever he needs to do to win. So there are exceptions. But I just want someone younger, fresh, like Mel Tucker was. I think he's he's probably in his late 40s, early 50s. But I just love the energy he injects in this program. Jimmy is just always kind of I don't know, man. It's just I don't.
You're hard on the guy, man. Listen, okay,
I give him credit.
His previous time. But come on, man. He beat Ohio State, won the Big Ten, made it to the playoffs.
First time in 7 years, Desmond. I mean, here's my thing.
That's still difficult to do.
Fans, we have to.
That is difficult to do.
Mel Tucker. 0-2. See, don't do this. See now, I don't like how this is going. This is about to make it seem like this is about to make it seem like I'm against Jim Harbaugh and I'm trying to demean everything he's done this season. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, in terms of the prospect of him leaving. Am I scared and shaking in my boots? Either way, not really. That's just me. But he's a good coach. He is. But
do you think he's going to leave? If you had to call it right now, and I'm talking this offseason, do you think if you had to make a call, fork to your nose, is he making a move this offseason?
Nah, man. I think he's too comfortable. I just don't see it.
I don't think he's
way
leaving.
Too comfortable.
Mark, what do you think?
I think he's staying.
It just would be tough to do the work that he's done, get to this point, you finally break through, because sometimes things are impossible until you do them, right? So for the longest,
great slogan, Desmond.
It's not mine, but nonetheless, right? As you played Ohio State, the first year it was really close, and JT was short, and all this stuff. But then it started to the margins got wider, and it looked like you were getting further from it, right? The last clip we had of in the 2019 game was a reporter asking him if he thinks that the talent gap is getting bigger or something like that, and he just responded with, "I'm not going to sit here and take your insults," right? And that was the last game that happened between Ohio State and Michigan until this year. So you go through all of that, you finally break through, you win it. All to go to the NFL to another job, and the craziest part. Let's say, sake of discussion, that happens. Jim Harbaugh leaves. let's say Josh Gaddis gets promoted to head coach, or Mike McDonald, take your pick.
I would like
and,
that.
And say whoever the head coach is, say Michigan next year wins the national championship. How crazy is Jim Harbaugh going to drive himself after leaving, regardless of what happens in the NFL? He would. Oh man,
I think his legacy grows. I'll tell you why. I think his legacy grows. It's kind of like that.
You think so?
I think it'll be more like the way it'll be seen historically. It'll be very similar to how Butch Davis is viewed. His tenure is viewed at Miami. Like no one really gives what's his name, Coker, his last name. Like no one really gives him
a lot of credit. People,
I don't know.
Now maybe Butch Davis's players.
Most of the Miami players said that he didn't do anything, that they policed themselves. They said this on a 30 for 30. Okay, that was Butch Davis' team.
Boys.
All right, see you, Mark. But think about this too, though. You need a special kind of coach to understand that too. So what if you had
let me get out the way,
right? Goodness, like a kind of military style coach to where they come in and they're getting all crazy and not letting those guys police themselves, like running the issues. So that's interesting.